Good evening, everybody. It's Crystal with Coffee, Crochet, and Cuddles coming to you Sunday evening in Connecticut. It is 8 o'clock on this chilly evening. I'm thinking this winter is trying to bankrupt me already because here we are. It's the first day of winter and it has been really cold for, at least more than a week now. Anyways, so that's not why I came on to talk about the weather. I am such a small channel, I figured that nobody would tag me in the Ice Yarns 2020 challenge that is being collaborated between Creative Grandma and The Secret Yarnery, which is Glenda and Krista. And I have Ice Yarns, so I will accept the challenge. If you remember, if you've been watching me, I had one big Ice Yarns order where I believe it put 18 packs in my cart, and I did that to do not the $20 shipping that Chris always talks about. It's like the 6-pack challenge that she has where you can get 6 packs to your door for 83 cents a ball for shipping. I went up to the next level. So I kept adding into my cart until I saw it went from like $40 and it jumped up. Sorry about that. I don't know why this video keeps shutting off on me. So as I was saying, I did that one big shipment of ice yarns. And I reviewed my yarns in 2 videos because it was such a large order. And I talked about the pros and cons of how I feel about ice yarns. Now, I'm in America. I happen to be lucky enough to be in a town where there is, let's see, we're not going to talk about AC Moore anymore because AC Moore is closing. That was my go-to store. That was literally not even 5 minutes from my house. That was in the same town as me. It was right up the street from me. It was the place that I always shopped at for yarns. So, regardless of that, I have one town over from me in Southington, a Michaels. The town in the opposite direction from me, New Britain, there's another Michaels. 2 towns over, 2 or 3 towns over in Avon, another Michaels. Town in a different direction, 2 towns over, another Michaels. So within a 10-mile radius of my house, I have 4 Michaels. Same town that there's a Michaels in Southington, there's a Joann's. Same town in the other direction, there's a Joann's. I mean, and then I also have in one town over a Hobby Lobby. Now, I've done a video on Hobby Lobby and how I feel about them and the 30% off week and how I think even with the 30% off, their yarns are a bit pricey. For me, 30% off, it's not enough to make me shop. So the Hobby Lobby for me is probably only if I'm going to get lucky enough to hit when they hit their clearance. Because Hobby Lobby, now I think from what I've been hearing, just goes, instead of like stepping down the yarn in gradual stages of clearance, they jump it right down 75%. They just mark it and it's out the door. So if I'm ever lucky enough to get over there after they clearance things, that's fine. I think some of their yarn is absolutely gorgeous. And yes, I would love to work with it. But for me, a sale for regular price has to be 40% off or more if I'm going to purchase it. 30% off just doesn't do it for me. So I do have that one. And I have 2 Walmarts all within a 5-mile radius. Walmart is hit or miss. We don't have a lot at those stores. I can't even remember the last time I bought yarn at my Walmart. But if I was in a desperate need of something because somebody asked me for something and I didn't have it among my yarn stash, then okay, let me go run down to Walmart and see if they got it. For people that are outside the United States and Canada, Ice Yarns is the obvious way to go because they have such a wide variety of yarns. My problem is their website is extremely annoying to navigate. Extremely annoying. And cookies always pop up. Every time I look at a yarn, whether or not I decided to put it in my cart or not, a cookie would pop up. And another cookie. Ugh. They need some serious work on their website. And their pictures are not that great on their website of what the yarn looks like. Excuse me, I gotta go let the dogs inside. Okay, sorry about that, I'm back. So as I was saying with Ice Yarn, the navigating their website isn't that easy. They have so many yarns and so many descriptions, and not all of it, hey, not all of their descriptions of their yarns are easy to understand. Because I bought some yarns that I thought were a 4-weight, and they turned out to be like a 2. And then I bought some where it sounded good, and then you touched it, and you're like, oh, this is so rough. This can only be used for craft bags or placemats, or it just wasn't garment material. Even a scarf, it would have felt bad as a scarf. So that's another reason why we love to touch the yarns as Americans, because we like to know what we're buying before we're buying it. Blizzard says hi. So yes, I do have ice yarns still from that big ice yarn haul. I figured nobody would challenge me because I'm such a small channel that I'm not going to get tagged. So I've pulled out a yarn that I'm working with. It's a lot thinner than I normally work with. But I figure it's a challenge, right? Let's get out of your comfort zone of what you normally work with, which is a 4-weight or bulky 5. And let's actually see what we can come up with this yarn. So I will link those 2 videos from my ice yarn haul below if you guys want to check them out. Another thing that I want to talk about is Creative Grandma put out a video basically because I think she was just as surprised as everybody else was to find out that AC Moore was shutting down on the East Coast. Or not shutting down just on the East Coast, but AC Moore was closing. For those of us that live on the East Coast, probably the majority of us use AC Moore as our go-to store for yarns. So I know that was her closest store that she went for her yarn for her Friday night shopping trips. So it probably affected her just as much as it affected me. So she teamed up with Premier Yarns to put a survey out there to ask the stores that are big box stores, quote unquote, Walmart, Target, etc., to put more yarn on their shelves. We know it takes up a certain amount of space. We know that you have to sell it in order for it to make a profit for you. But if the yarn's not there for us to touch and feel and see it visually, we're not going to buy yarn. Like, if I know in my head that I'm not going down to my local Walmart, which is 10 minutes away from me, to buy yarn, because I've already known that they have gone from a nice big craft selection in that store to one little, it's not a quarter of an aisle, but it's like a half an aisle on one side with yarns. I'm not going, because if I'm lucky, I'll find enough to do a lapghan. But what if I wanted to make an afghan? What if I wanted a sweater quantity of yarn? It's generally not there. So that's why we don't buy it at Walmart. Most of us don't get our yarns from Walmart because most of our Walmarts have pared down the craft section so much that if you see a yarn that you like, let's take, for example, they carry mandala, Lion Brand mandala. You'd be lucky to have 3 different colorways of that, and then maybe 1 or 2 skeins of each colorway. Or if you're, let's see, what other yarns do they carry? Red Heart. If you use Red Heart, they might have 7 colors, but 2 skeins of each, or 3 skeins of each. That's certainly not enough to do a full-size blanket or afghan. So I have taken the survey myself for Creative Grandma because I totally agree with her. As consumers, we have to let our voices be heard. That we do not want to buy online if it's something we've never worked with before because we don't know if we're going to like it, if we're going to enjoy working with it. How does it feel? What is the texture of that yarn? So for me, most especially with the newer yarns that are out there, we need them in the stores to see, to touch, to feel, to smell. That way we know, oh, I love this yarn. I am going to buy it. Or you get it, you've ordered it, and you hate it. Let's say you absolutely cannot stand the way it feels, the way it glides on your hook, it's like you would have so much trouble sending it back to them that you just keep it and it ends up sitting in a box somewhere in your stash and it never gets used. And somebody might love that yarn. Someone else might love that yarn and can't find it and can't get it. So I'm so glad that Creative Grandma got together with Premier to do this survey. And I'm really, really hoping that she does get 1 million surveys in. Because I feel that in order to have her voices heard, she needs a large quantity. Like, it can't just be 3,000 of us people that crochet with yarn or knit with yarn saying, hey, we want more yarn. 3,000 people is not going to be enough for these big box stores to listen to us. We all have to band together to get more yarns on the shelves in our stores. If we don't, we're going to be stuck ordering online eventually for all of our yarns down the future. AC Moore, I have a feeling, is the first domino in a chain of dominoes. That if we don't stop and we don't let people know that, hey, we want to see and touch the yarns, we will be in trouble. Okay, that was my rant about more yarn, please. So, I've talked about Ice Yarn 2020. I have decided to tag myself. And I am making it a challenge because I am using a yarn that I normally would not use because it's not a weight that I like. I have worked with a DK yarn, a 3-weight, but usually I hold 2 strands together because I don't like working with thin yarns. So this is going to be a challenge for me to do this project with this thin yarn. I've talked about the survey for Creative Grandma, for Premier yarns, but it's not just Premier yarns. Let me preface that Creative Grandma reached out to Premier because she didn't know how to go about getting a survey to the big box stores. I love Premier yarns. I love Lion Brand yarns. I love certain Yarnspirations yarns. I'm not a big fan of Red Heart, as I've said before in the past. But there are yarns from Yarnspirations that I love. I mean, more yarn. Give it to us. We want it. We will buy it. It's like, it reminds me of that movie, Field of Dreams, when the guy's telling them, if you build it, they will come. If you stock your shelves, we will come. All right, sorry about that. No, Glacier. No, Mama's not mad. Let's see. Oh, finished objects. Yes, even though my thumb was injured, I held my crochet. First of all, I couldn't work with any of my normal yarns that I work with, so I went up to the biggest, fattest yarn I had, and the biggest, fattest hook I had, so I could just put the hook in between my, and then crochet like this, like, so it was just like back and forth like this. I could not pinch my crochet hook. So I have them in my bag. Oh, and this is using Premier yarn. It's a Premier yarn that I use. So nice, simple, chunky beanie here. This is a little bit smaller. That's for a small kid's head. This is larger. A little different color on top. That's with the scraps. But this one fits my head. Well, after I take my ponytail down. See? And as I've said before in videos, if you ever hear me talking about it, I have a large head. So if it fits me, it's gonna be pretty good on some other people. And then this one with 3 different colors. This is all the Premier Mega Tweed. And this one fits. And these are all their different blue colors. And yes, this is the start of me crocheting for hashtag hat not hate for Lion Brand. And there's a blue one. They're all blue. Now this was the original pattern that they had for this yarn for a hat. Which, one second. I'll bring up my tablet here. And it's called the Premier Mega Tweed Crochet Hat and Cowl. I did not make the cowl, I just made the hat. And that was the first successful project for me based on a pattern that I had to read. This was the first time I took something, I read it, I followed it, I was able to complete it. Most of the time I get to some point in the pattern where I just I throw the crochet across the room because I can't finish it with the pattern. So I'm really proud of myself. That was these 2 original ones. Now, let's see. No, it wasn't this one. Nope. Let's see. Yes, this was the original hat. And I liked it, but I didn't like the V-stitch in it, which made this big, boop, boop, giant hole right here. And then they had the shell. So I just took the V-stitch out, and I just did shells. There's no V-stitches in this one. It's all 3 shells here. Or shells. Shell, shell, shell. In the original one, it was shell, V-stitch, shell, V-stitch. So I just took that out. Then I did 2 of those, and then I took. Then I says, okay, well let's go on to something else. And so then I just did a simple double crochet beanie with different amounts of increases, different amounts of starts. Like one of them I did a 6 at the start, and then I did an increase. Next one I did an 8. So there'd be all different sizes on that. That one wasn't anybody's particular pattern on that one. That one was just me figuring it out as I go. Then I looked up hats, and I got Bag a Day. Crystal from Bag a Day had a pattern where she made like I want to say a rectangle, not a square, using back loop onlys. And I did that. And it looks weird. It looks like it's not going to fit anybody's head at all. But this mega tweed, now this one's a little tight on me. I made this one for a little bit smaller head. But this mega tweed has a lot of give in it. So this one's a little bit small on me, but it'll fit a normal person's head. So I got that one. Then I did this blue one, and this one's a little bit longer, so the brim folds up a little bit better on this one. And this one actually has a nice amount of room, even fits me here. So, see? But I'm not really a hat person like this, per se, because I wear my hair up for work, and I'm outside a lot of my truck. So if I were to make one, it would be a messy bun. And then this one, I believe this is too small for me. I'm not going to attempt it. This is a smaller size. So that was all of those with the back loop only. And then I had a little extra yarn left. And so I made one with a messy palm. And this one I changed colors. So I did 2 rows, 2 rows, 2 rows, and I just alternated it. And there is a lot of stretch in this yarn. So it might look like a really tiny hat, but it has a lot of give. Now, was this one big enough to fit me? No, this is a very small one. So this is for a small, I mean, I could get it there, but it wouldn't be comfortable all day long. But I love this messy pom-pom. I don't know, that's funny. Okay, so those are my finished objects for tonight. So I am, no, I'm going to say goodnight. Glacier. Okay, so let's see. I'm trying to think who watches me. I'm going to tag a couple of people for the Ice Yarn Challenge if they're watching. I'd like to tag Amanda from the Undercover Yarn Snob. You're tagged. And I'd like to tag, oh, what's her name now? Hold on. I'm sorry. No, stop. Go lay down. Okay, so the people I'd like to tag is Amanda from the Undercover Yarn Snob, Jill from the Fiber Floozy, and I'm trying to remember her name, sorry. Oh, Jane from Scraptastic Yarn Podcast. Scraptastic Yarns Podcast, Jane. I tag you. I tag Amanda from the Undercover Yarn Snob. I tag Jill from the Fibrofloozy. And I would like to tag Carrie Penny from Happy Crafty Homemaker, but I don't believe she watches me. So I tagged you 4 people for the Ice Yarns 2020 challenge. I'm going to look forward to seeing everybody's designs, and I look forward to posting mine. Okay, so Blizzard wanted to get back on here and wish everybody a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Our video keeps cutting out on us before we can finish, so we'll just come back and one more time, huh, Blizzard? We are not camera shy. No, this fluffy puppy is not camera shy. So, again, I accept the Ice Yarn Challenge. I have done Creative Grandma's premiere survey for more yarn, please. And I have started blue hats for Lion Brand Hat Not Hate 2020 campaign. So I look forward to 2020, and we're going to have a good year. And yes, I'm bothering my dog, but he's like, whatever, Mom. I'm on your lap. I don't care. So, wishing you all a Merry Christmas, Happy Hanukkah, Happy Kwanzaa, whatever season you celebrate or holiday you celebrate. And we'll see you guys again. It's Crystal from Coffee, Crochet, and Cuddles signing off. As always, to remember to enjoy your coffee, certainly enjoy your crochet, and always enjoy your cuddles when you can. Good night, everybody.